Welcome to Early Access. My name's Katie Whitlock. For anyone who has been listening to the show, this is an exciting day. My cousin here, Sara, you all will recognize her voice. She's been on the podcast before. Welcome back, Sara. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And then I have my Aunt Ann. Welcome, Aunt Ann.
Hi. Glad to be here.
She is my mother's sister, so you all hear me talk about my mother all the time, the two. This is her sister, who's a 7. I think one of the sweet things we say in our families, we come from a long line of sisters. So my grandma had a sister. Did their mother have a sister too?
Yes.
How far back does it go?
Generations.
Generations.
Lots of generations, yes.
So everyone's always had a sister. So my mom and her sister are very, very close. Both of them had multiple girls, so we all have sisters. So there's a very large generational pressure to also have 2 sisters, 2 daughters. Anyway, but Ann and my mother are very, very close. And I invited him here today to talk about family. So if you can, actually, I'm going to have both of you give a little bit of an intro. Can you tell people your Enneagram number? And can you tell people just a little bit about how you know about the Enneagram, like your background in the Enneagram, just so people kind of know who we're talking to here. Ann, I'm going to have you go first.
Okay. I am an Enneagram 7 and most likely a wing 8, although we don't have to really talk about that too much. So I got familiar with Enneagram back in probably 2018, early 2019, and started reading a lot of Suzanne Stabille's material and books. And so I then Jane, Sara got into it, and okay, so I call her Jane.
We do have to explain. So she's talking about my mother right now.
Yes, Sara.
So my mother grew up as Jane, and then but now she's known as Sara. But I also have my cousin Sara, who's known as Sara.
Yes.
So I guess we'll call my mother Jane today.
Okay.
Sara, you call her Aunt Jane as well, right? Yeah, so we'll call her Jane. Yeah. She's going to go by Jane today. Okay, keep going.
All right. So then your mama got into it a lot, and I fell off the wagon and was not into it, but we had a lot going on at the end of 2019 into 20.
Yes,
and did. So I didn't really get back into learning about it until about 2023 and 4. And still, it was just surface level. And then I ended up going to Suzanne's Enneagram cohort. And I still don't really feel like I know that much about it. It's just it's so deep that you can be immersed in it for so long and still feel like you don't know that much.
Yes, agreed. What do you think was the biggest thing you learned about yourself in the cohort? To sum it up in one sentence.
Oh my gosh. One sentence is that not everybody views the world like I do.
Yeah. And why was that so big for you as a 7? Because other people would be like, yeah, I know.
Well, I think I really didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think I really was 55 years old and did not know that people experience the world differently than I did. But it all made sense, like different ways I had made people mad or frustrated people, or I connected with certain people.
Right.
It was all because I didn't have a clue that that makes me sound stupid, but honestly it's really true.
Well, I think you're like specifically talking about how people's personalities and like maybe their Enneagram number affects how they show up in the world, not necessarily that like people grow up differently in different parts of the world and that might shape their worldview. Right? Yeah. I feel like maybe that is more of what you're saying, or you're like, nope, sort of all of it.
I'll give an example. So I think what I learned, the way I make decisions is really fast. It's like rapid fire. I am making decisions and I am moving on. And I learned finally that not everybody does that. And some people need a lot of time to make decisions. Some people need way more information and details to make decisions. So I think I just didn't know that.
Yes. Are we talking about our dear 9s right now? And also married
Yeah.
Anne's
I'm
married to a 9.
convinced that like almost only a 9 can survive joining into this family. Because
That is
there is a
true.
reason.
That is true.
There is a reason why so many 9s are
Gravitate
joining the
into the
family.
family.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Sarah, go ahead. Take it away. Do a little intro.
Okay, I am a 1. And if any of you are already laughing at the 1 and 7 combination parent to child, you probably should be. And I live in New York City. I've been able to jump on this podcast with Katie one other time before, and it definitely caused a lot of reflection for me and something we've all talked about as a family. So, what a gift to get to come back and do it a second time. My experience with the Enneagram can really only be described as mental osmosis because I've not done any of the cohorts or anything like that, but I have certainly been around. I can't even quantify how many hours of conversation related to the Enneagram at this point, between your mom and my mom and you. And now, like, I was talking to my boyfriend Tebow the last time that we were doing the family beach trip, and he was like, yeah, kind of by the time that we got to the end of the trip, everyone was just speaking in numbers. Like, you just were like, oh, that's so 7, that's so 1, that's so.
Yeah. It's like if you don't speak
So
it,
we
you're
talk
like,
about it a lot.
I literally don't know what you're talking
I have no idea what anyone's talking about right
yeah,
now.
Yeah. Okay, great. So to get into some family stuff, I'm going to ask you both kind of some setup questions so that people who are listening can kind of get a picture of the family. So Sarah, I'm going to throw it your way first. If you can you just kind of paint us a picture of your family? Who's involved, the family dynamics? Do you guys get along? Like, what's going on in the family? How's it made up?
Currently or growing up?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So growing up, there were the 6 of us, right? My parents, and then me, and then triplets. And I was almost 6 years older than them. So I think I was like 5.5 when they were born. And I think that from the time I was very young, I was maybe a little adult. Mom was saying that my first sentence that I really communicated was, I'll do it myself. Thank you very much. At like 2 years old or whatever it was. And so I think that without getting too far into it, the family and the way that it was made up really allowed me to lean into that for better, for worse at times. So that was the 6 of us. I think it certainly was just a shock. Such a shock. I honestly cannot imagine from a parent's standpoint how much it was a shock if it was a shock to me. I didn't have to take care of them. I didn't have to teach them how to be good humans. I just had to survive them. And so, like, I think that's really how it felt. And you're like 5.5 and you're like, why are there 3 babies in the house? This is chaos. And it was chaos, and it like is chaos. But I think that went from chaos that felt like uncontrollable and just exhausting to now a sense of chaos that brings excitement and lots of different personalities and ways of thinking and ideas and game ideas and interest into the family that makes when we all get together feel like a sort of reunion. And that's really fun. And so now we're like all adults in our own right, pursuing our own lives. Getting to come back together as adults is really fun. And there were several years that were like not fun. So
Right.
for like everyone, there was the first few years where it was not fun for me. And then for reasons that I'm sure we'll talk about in this podcast, I turned that around and made it very not fun for everybody else in my teenage years. So like, everybody got their turn.
It's my
having
turn.
fun and not having fun at the hands of each other. But now we mostly just have fun. So that's great.
Do you remember the triplets being born? Like, I have no memory of Elena being born past like a few flashes. Do you remember what life was like when they brought them home?
I will like
sorry.
never forget my dad coming to pick me up from school. And I was trying to pick out of a treasure box what treasure I was going to get for like being, I'm sure, teacher's pet student that week. And she was like, well, your siblings were just born, so you can get two treasures. And I was like, whoa. So that was cool.
You're like, this
And
is
then,
the last happiness I get for
yeah.
this.
So thank God for this like plastic bracelet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. And then I remember spending a lot of time on the stairs. And right. But
Why?
it's because for some reason, honestly, with dad, I'm like, he could have optimized this. That's how his brain worked. But that's how I know it was just so chaotic. He didn't even have a chance to think about it. I spent a lot of time on the stairs because the babies were in the opposite location of where the diapers were always. So it was like, there's not like man to man gameplay. It was like zone. And so then I am the zone that has to go run and get the diapers because
You
the
were put to
babies
work.
outnumbered the parents. Oh yeah. So I just remember like, wow, okay, that was a lot of time running up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because we went through about 30 diapers a day.
No,
Yeah.
that's wrong. That's horrible. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yes.
We're glad they're here. We
So
love
crazy.
them.
We're so glad they're here. And it was a trauma that befell that family at the time.
Okay, speaking of kids, Anne, I'm going to throw it over to you now. So you have 4 children. Can you paint us a picture, maybe ending with Sara?
Okay.
Can you paint me a picture of each of your kids as their parent? What would you say their personalities are? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll start with the oldest of the babies, who is Jenny. Jenny is tenacious, independent, full of energy going all the time,
Yes.
and loves horses. So she spends a lot of time with that.
I think Jenny's the love bug of our family is like how I think of
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Then we have Allie. She is very studious and she's a 3. She knows she's a 3.
Does she? That's exciting. I didn't know.
No, she does know she's a 3.
Cool.
And so in all her 3ness, Allie shows up. And so and she's awesome. She is organized and gets it done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. And then there's Ben. We don't know what number Ben is, but we wish we did.
He's an 8.
I think he's probably an 8. But
I know I'm not supposed to say
we're
that.
not supposed to do
No, it's
that.
okay.
But he is hilarious. He keeps me in stitches all the time and never got disciplined because I was just always laughing at him. So anyway, but he's a very hard worker. He's an entrepreneur at his heart, just like his dad. And that shows up in a lot of ways for him. So, and then there's Sara, who is my oldest, and she broke me in as a parent in a good way and helped me learn lots of things about how to be a parent. But Sara, I made a list of things about Sara because there's so many great things about Sara, but she's so organized and she is goal oriented. I mean, she shows up in all her oneness and in many amazing ways. And I know, we will talk more about that later, but Sara she gets it done. When she needs to get stuff done, she gets it done. She's a really big organizer for our family, has been. She's trying to kind of pass the baton a little bit, but up till now, she has done a lot of organizing in our family. So, yeah.
So this is kind of my last setup question. Sara, you alluded to this a little bit already, but can you talk about your relationship with your mother specifically, maybe when you were young, through the teenage years, through college, and then where it is now? Like, can you kind of paint us that landscape of how your relationship with Anne has changed over kind of the years?
Yeah, I think it's just gone through so many evolutions. Some natural, and then some with like inciting incidents, like everything that happened with my dad, right?
Right.
So I think when I don't have super early memories other than like the triplets being born. But when I think back to, I know that there are stories of like we were really buddies when I was young, up until maybe like 4 or close to when the triplets were born, and we would watch Disney movies together and color together. And I think it's kind of fun to have gone through what I'll talk about as the different evolutions and sort of end up back there,
Wow.
but like
Kelly.
as adults,
Yeah. Yeah. And
and just sort of
sorry to interrupt.
being
And
alongside.
how old are you when you had Sarah?
Oh, I was 24, turning 25, 2 months after she was
2
born.
months after. Okay. Okay, keep going, Sarah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was a baby.
Yeah. I can't. I'm 31 and I
Yeah,
have no
I'm
babies.
27. I was like
I have a dog. And I'm
24.
like 24. Oh Lord. So I think that's where it started, and then I think I saw a need to not be a bother or not be a burden once the triplets came in. So I think we sort of transitioned from maybe all of that buddy time into I'm going to take care of me. And then that just sort of escalated from there. I would just like go spend a ton of time with my friends in the neighborhood and just sort of like leave the house because it was chaos. And I think so those are sort of, I'll call them like the dark years or whatever, the dark
The
ages,
Middle
because I don't
Ages.
remember. Yeah. I don't remember really what my relationship was like with either of my parents at that time, because I think I just sort of was like, "Whoop, let me go somewhere else." And then when I started getting a little bit older, like sort of preteen years, I spent a lot of time at home, but that's, I think, when I started helping out a lot more. And I remember sort of seeing myself as not really my own person, but as an example for the triplets. And so I think that was a lot coming. I just heard that a lot. And whether that was specific to my relationship with you, mom, or just generally both you and dad, I think everybody was trying to survive and like do our best to like keep 3 new humans alive. And so it was sort of like us for them is sort of what it felt like. And so I think then that turned into, once I became a teenager, desperately wanting my own space, my own sense of self, less restrictions, less you can't do that because, it doesn't set a good example, or they can't do that so you can't, those sort of like very classic multiple sibling type things. But then that's where I think I made things really difficult for everybody else. So then we had a pretty difficult relationship, I would say, until I went to college, because I think honestly, I just wanted to be left alone for about 5 minutes. And there was no leave it
Yeah, there
alone
was
for
no.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
There was, or at least I didn't feel that way. I very well may have like, had so much free time I didn't know what to do with myself. But so I think I made things kind of hard, of just because of that desire to be my own. And then we went to college, or I went to college, and I sort of was like, maybe my family isn't so bad. I miss them.
I
And
miss
game
them.
nights as a family were really fun. And dinners that we would all have together were really fun. And maybe it wasn't so bad after all. And then I kind of moved to New York, the ultimate display of I'm going to take my freedom and go live somewhere no one in my family or my friends live. And I think that was really awesome for about a year. And it has continued to be awesome. I love New York.
Yeah.
But then I think I started to go, I really want to go to like all the family trips, and I want to spend more time with my family. And you start kind of like coming back to your roots. So I think I needed like a bit of a departure to realize like that's where I wanted to be. And I think that those themes were really what were driving the different seasons of our relationship. So then, like, fast forward the last several years, as I also was like, you gotta stop being a jerk to everybody. Um, we've like kind of gotten past, I think, some of the things that the attitude that I was giving mom, and maybe the ways that like a baby raising a baby affects you as a kid too, and sort of worked through that together, because I think what I know to be true as sort of the invisible string that has connected all of it is that, mom, you were always curious about us, building a relationship with us, and digging in with us, that set, I think, a really necessary foundation so that I did have something to come back to. And so, yeah, now I think we've like transitioned into, yeah, what is a really nice friendship. And then I think a big catalyst for that shift was two things. One, I do think like the age difference between me and the triplets is sort of like a, one baby is getting quite a bit older than the other babies, who are still all the same age, and so the difference between those two maybe feels bigger in terms of maturity or whatever. And then dad passes away, and we're all like, whoop, gotta grow up. So that happened to me at the age that you had a baby, and those are both like, you know, earthquake type events that are going to change how you show up in your life and how you think about your relationships.
Yeah.
That's great. So I do have a self bet with myself about how many minutes we're going to get into the podcast before someone cries. One of the people
I almost
crying
broke.
very much being me. And we almost got close right there, I think. So we almost got close. So let's see.
That's
Not
close.
yet. So, okay. So I want to get a little bit into the Enneagram now. That was great, Sarah. I'm going to throw it your way, Anne, again. Knowing what you know about yourself as a 7, kind of walking through everything Sarah just walked us through, all this like narrative of your family life, right? Looking back now on your parenting, kind of like Sarah just looked back on your relationship, can you walk us through how you think being a 7 influenced your parenting through all those kind of different seasons? Like, were there any patterns that showed up for you that you look back now and you're like, oh, that was my 7 coming out, right? Was there anything hard about parenting? Was there anything easy about parenting because you're a 7? I don't know. That was about 15 questions. Pick whichever one you want to answer.
Okay. Let's see. Where do I start? I think, when it was just me and Sarah, we had just me and Sarah for like a lot of years, almost 6. And that's a long time to just have one baby. And one time for that child to get used to just being the only one. And so I think having one baby, there were parts of it that were hard because I was young and I didn't know exactly what to focus on and what to make a big deal out of and what not to make a big deal out of. So I just made a big deal about everything. And so
Right.
that wasn't great, but I will say probably, okay, let's see. The hard part, the way I showed up as a 7 and the good parts of showing up as a 7 as a parent. I think once the triplets got here, there were some really difficult things that we had to deal with. And I mean, I could go back to when Sarah was young and we didn't have the triplets yet. And there was some attitude or discipline type things that we were trying to teach her. And I wasn't great at dealing with her strong nature, meaning I would just basically let her do whatever she wanted, sort of. I mean, she wanted a certain cup with a certain color top, and she was 3 years old. Or we went to Walmart, or we went to, Walmart. We always do our shopping at Walmart. Anyway, so we would go, and instead of getting a toy, she'd get a toothbrush. So she ended up with like 8 toothbrushes at the age of 3.
Because she wanted a toothbrush, or because
I said, you can get a new toothbrush. Well, they were all Disney princesses.
Oh.
Of course she wanted all the toothbrushes, So I would say, well, if you're really good, we'll go by and we'll get a toothbrush. And she's like,
boy.
So
like me.
So, I mean, that was winning in my book.
Yeah.
But her dad was the one who brushed her teeth every night
Mm.
before she'd go to bed. So he ended up eventually just like, oh my gosh, why do we have 8 toothbrushes? And he just said, pick one and all the rest are going in the trash. So I'm just saying,
Because it would take 10 minutes to try to brush my
For you to
teeth
try to
because I was
pick your
like,
toothbrush.
well, maybe this one, but maybe Belle tonight or
yes. And
This
then
is
if,
like unlocking memories for me. I feel like I remember all these
yeah,
toothbrushes.
you probably do. You probably do. But I think the hard part is being a parent to any number of children is monotonous, especially if
Mhm.
you're a stay-at-home mom, which I was. So every day was sort of the same. It was like Groundhog Day. You get up and you do the same exact things every single day. So for a 7, for me, it was boring. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, that's so this every day, the same thing. So that was the hard part, continuing to show up when I was bored. And but the good part is because I was bored, I would think of really super fun things to do. So we would do lots of fun things. And so, but I also to speak to what Sarah was saying, as the teenage years rolled around for her and for the triplets, I was not great at dealing with the teenage years because all of that was the same. It was either the same bad attitude or the same friend problem every day. And what they needed from me was just being present in my ear and sometimes some advocating, sometimes.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out like how to keep showing up for the same conversation when nothing was changing. It
Mhm.
was very frustrating.
Mhm.
So that was hard. Those were the hard parts.
What would happen, like, if let's say you were having a bad day, right, and you like were not having a very enlightened day of parenting, and your kid came to you, right, with the same problem for the 5th day in a row, like what happened to you?
I probably would just blow them off. I would just be like, I'm sorry, I can't deal with this right now. I'm cooking dinner, or let's talk about this later, or go talk to your dad,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Redirect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a master because I'm a 7 at reframing things.
Right.
So I would reframe the bad days into good days. So we would just, and the other thing is I'm not super organized. So I didn't have the perfect day. I didn't wake up thinking this is going to be a perfect day. I was just like, well, this is another day
Right.
and it will be what it is and we'll make the best of it. And we usually did, although sometimes it just wasn't that much fun. So, yeah. I mean, I think because it's like a magic trick that I didn't realize was a part of being a 7 at the time that I was using it back then.
Yeah.
I just thought this is how you do parenting. And
Right.
I think I've learned now from other people that it's not how everybody does parenting. Not everybody is able to just be like, oh, well, that didn't work out. Pivot. Let's go in this direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I had another question about that, but Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you again. Do you, when your mother's talking about all this, like when she was like, I can't listen to this problem for the 3rd day in a row, take it to your dad. Do you remember that, or did you experience that in a different way? Or are you like, oh yeah, I totally remember her doing that, or no?
Well, this is sort of uncovering a different thing, which is I got to the point where I just sort of stopped talking about things. I don't think it was because of that. I think it was because I was having some very like normal teenage interests. And I was the first one. And I'm sure I'll learn one day that even when you're a teenager who's 15, 16 years old talking about boys, you see them as a 6-month old and you're just like, what is happening? And so it was a first for me and a first for them, and
Yeah.
that did not go well. So I just sort of stopped bringing that. But I would say that like that wasn't just true growing up. I think that, would you say, Mom, that you still feel like that sometimes? Like, I
Yeah.
think you've kind of admitted that sometimes phone calls are hard. Like,
Yeah.
you want us to call you, and then sometimes it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's like your 6th
Yeah.
phone call for the day from
Right.
your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, yeah, because often with 4 kids, you'll get at least 2 calls in a day, sometimes 3, sometimes all 4. So, which is awesome. I'm thankful that they want to call me. So, but sometimes if it's sort of the same thing over and over again, I have a hard time being present for the conversation. I have to work at it.
I know someone who's a mom and who's a 7. She's probably about your age, Anne, as well. And I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but she's known as the fun mom in her family. Like, that's what her kids call her, is fun mom.
Yeah.
And she has this story. It's actually of a phone call where her adult daughter called her, and my friend was in the car, and so the phone call came like over the car speaker, right? And it was her and her husband in the car listening to their daughter. And it was the same thing. It was like a problem that the daughter had for like 5 days in a row, and it just like wasn't getting solved. And my friend says she just had this like overwhelming sense of like, I want to hang up the phone. Or she couldn't hang up on her daughter. So what she did is she just like handed the phone to her husband and was like, you need to talk to her. And she says that she feels bad about that too. She's like, I know all my daughter needed was for me to sit with her and hear her. But she's like, she described the feeling. She's like, it just was this like bubbling, like, I can't listen to this again.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Get me out of this car.
Yeah, get me out of this car. What is it? What's so... First of all, I want to say I relate to that too. So I don't want to paint this as like so horrible and negative, right? I relate. What is it about, the 5th day in a row, the same problem, all the things? Why does that make you so uncomfortable? Why is that hard for you as a parent?
Well, I think for me, it's because it's boring. And also if it's a problem that is not getting solved and I see that there is a solution, I'm like, why are we not working toward the solution?
Doing the solution, yeah.
And if you're not going to work toward the solution, then stop telling me about it.
Stop. Get off my phone.
Stop talking to me about it. So, and still, I find that it is important to still show up.
Yes.
But after day 5, I feel like, or day 25, I feel like I can say,
or year 25.
Or year, yeah. I mean, I feel like I can say, this is a problem that keeps coming up. It seems like we need to be working toward a solution here,
Yeah.
Or, I really just can't. Sometimes I say, I really just can't talk about this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And like with your adult kids, I feel like that's
okay with adult
fair.
Children. Yes. I mean, it's okay most of the time with your adult children, I think. Yeah. We encourage
like
working toward the solution. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to ask you about Sara now and being a child and her oneness. When you think about Sara as a child, do you have any stories or examples or just like general ideas about like, when did you start to see her oneness come out, right? How old was she? Maybe like, it's not till she was 15, right? I don't know. But how did you see that for other people who are like parenting ones, right? Like, how did that show up in a child to be a one?
I think, when Sara was born and I was holding her, like to my chest, like holding her up, like you do a newborn baby.
Yeah.
She could not be happy, would not be happy, even as a newborn, unless she was faced out. She always wanted to be facing the world, always. And it's just what
she wanted to see.
She came out that way. She didn't like being, I don't know, maybe she felt trapped. I don't know what a 2-week-old thinks in their brain, but like, I just know this was not like the backwards. It's not what she wanted. And I think, that was just hardwired in her, and then she starts to talk early. She walked early, she walked at 11 months and she started talking. She had a slew of words by the time she was 18 months old, which is sort of, I don't know, it's within range, but I felt like it was early. But I think I just saw she wanted to be independent. She didn't want me to do things for her. She wanted to pick her own clothes out. She refused to wear jeans because she just didn't like the way they felt. But really, she loved a good twirly dress. for years.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Come on.
Yeah. So, there were things so I say all that to say she had a strong opinions about a lot of things and was able to verbalize it at a really early age. And so I think I started seeing it, although I think probably you don't really see a person's number really show that early. But I think it was just a precursor to what, her personality was going to develop into.
Yeah. Well, I do hear a lot of to speak a little bit of Enneagram theory, like body triad. If we're going to say that a person's number shows up that early, like being aware of your own body and wanting to be in control of how you feel in your environment and all the things, like that's what that sounds like to me, right? Isn't it true?
Sounds pretty accurate. Yeah.
I remember a story about Sara that you and my mom would laugh about all the time, where you'd put a sock on her when she was 6 months old and she'd pull it off because she didn't want to wear that sock today. Yeah. And it was just a fight.
Yeah.
From the time she was this little girl, and she just kept pulling all her socks off.
Yeah.
I am going to get my medicine if I ever have a kid. I just know it. But, it's okay. It served me well as an adult, but
it has.
So, and when did you see, this is probably, the answer's maybe much older, but when did you start to see Sara start to worry about being good and doing the right thing and this moral wanting to make the world better, right? And holding herself to a standard? When did you start to see that come out of her?
Gosh, early, very early. I mean, how old were you, Sara, when we would say you can have 3 M&Ms and you would only get 3 M&Ms even if they were unsupervised? I mean,
4
maybe 3 even. Maybe. I mean, early. She had high moral standards for herself at a really early age, and honestly did not really need a lot of parenting. I think the rub between Sara and I as she started to get a little older was my fear-based parenting was not healthy for the whole family. And so I would make decisions and discipline out of a fearful thought of what I thought might happen in the future. And that was very restrictive. And so,
especially I think for one who's already putting a lot of things on themselves.
Yes. Right.
And then you've got additional people putting things on you, and you're I got this voice in my head that's already telling me quite a few things.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, when I learned that about Sara, when I learned that ones have this voice in their head that tells them awful things, just tells them that they're not doing the best and they're not great, I cried because I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea that the voice in your head as being a 1, the voice you hear, is always putting you down.
Was that in the Enneagram cohort?
Yes.
That you learned about that?
Yes. The first week. I mean, the first weekend.
The first day. You're
first
oh
day.
My
I'm
gosh.
oh my gosh.
What a bummer,
my
right?
daughter right now.
And she did. And then I learned that the voice in her head tells her that she's awesome and God's gift to the earth. And I'm like, what? I have half your DNA. I don't know what percentage chance I had of inheriting that, but wow. The cookie crumbled in a weird direction on that one.
Yeah, and actually, before I ask Sara my question, that is funny. I remember you telling me when you first learned about 7s, you had this realization. Do you know what I'm talking about? You had this realization that you didn't know that you might have been annoying to other people.
That's what I was saying in the beginning of the podcast, is that all these things that I learned, I was I had no idea that people didn't experience things in the world the same way I do, and also experience me the way I thought they were experiencing me. Yeah. Seriously, you don't think I'm awesome? You don't think I'm awesome?
Look at me.
I mean,
please.
I'm funny. I am fun to be around.
I'm a
Oh, I'm a
delight.
delight. I am a delight. So what is wrong with you? Nothing
And then you
really
had a
is wrong
daughter
with
who was
you.
like, I'm only allowed to eat 3 M&Ms.
Right.
Freaking
Right.
out about the
I'm like,
M&Ms.
and like, did I accidentally take 4 and I didn't mean to and I forgot and like now I'm going to hell as a 4-year-old? Like maybe.
Oh,
Like, and that could not be more opposite from the voice in my head. My head's like, you bother everyone all the
Everybody.
time.
Yeah.
And it's because you're a bad person. People know. They know. Like, oh
So let's
no.
talk about this. This is actually illustrating something really important about ones and sevens, which is that you guys share a line and you balance each other out in a lot of ways. So I'm just going to throw this at both of you. Whoever wants to answer first can go. In what ways do you feel balanced by the other person? Because it is built into your relationship to sort of be balanced by each other.
I do think we've always balanced each other. I think about like if it had just been me and dad, I probably would have had panic attacks every day. I got so many great things from dad, but like I I think that where he brought seriousness, I needed that, I think, to feel like stable and seen. I also desperately needed enthusiasm and lightheartedness, and that's really not that big of a deal, and let's just distract and go focus on this other thing instead. I think that is incredibly balancing, and so I think that that's always been true, and I also think that because I am very obviously strongly related to you, there are things that even though we're different numbers, I got from you. And I was sort of talking with Tebow about that after our date night on Friday, about just the things that we kind of got from our parents. And he was like, well, what do you think you got from your dad? And I sort of always had this perspective on myself and my life that, like, well, I'm just carbon copy dad. I'm just so like everyone always said, you're so much alike. You look so much like him. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm becoming more like you, and so therefore I become a more balanced version of myself. And because of that, I think I had like a little bit of a mental block of like, well, what do I get from my mom? I think I get things from, but what do I? And it was so sweet because I feel like he was able to see things that I wasn't even able to see just because of that framing for myself that I had had historically. And one of the big things that he said is, you get your enthusiasm from your mom. Your mom is so enthusiastic and you are so enthusiastic. And it's so fun to watch the two of you get excited about something together. And you're like, and also this thing, and then also this other thing. And isn't that so cool? And isn't that so fun? And just sort of like the awe of things in the world and the enthusiasm that propels you into doing the next thing. And also the reframing. I think as someone who, struggles with anxiety, struggles with the inner voice, having someone who is constantly teaching you to reframe is incredibly balancing as well. So I think I learned that skill as a kid and I didn't even know I was learning that skill. And then I watched myself being sort of a master reframer in my daily life compared to some people around me and sort of helping them reframe and those sorts of things. So I think that there's always been a balancing component. It's just a matter of, are we choosing to see that or choosing to see our differences?
Yeah.
And before you answer, Sarah, I think that, first of all, I think that was a beautiful answer. I like what
I almost got myself again.
I know,
I
almost got I know, I was like, oh my gosh. This can just be like a yes or no answer, right? I really like what you said at the end. I do think, especially when you are related to somebody on a line with you, you can either see that person as like annoying and pushing you and doing all the things, or you can see it as like an invitation to what you need to pick up as well, right? And so I guess my only question is, like, you said your mother has always balanced you, which I do agree with. I see that in your relationship as well. Were there times, though, in your life where it didn't like feel balancing? It felt like, this is so anti-me, I don't want to do it, even if like technically it was probably good for you?
Don't remember that, but I think that if anything, it is the comparison or the conflict that inevitably occurs when someone like myself wants to be incredibly organized and have a steps A through G figured out, and we follow the steps, and then be met with spontaneity and fun. And I'm like, no, the way to maximize fun is to follow the plan, actually. And you're like,
We are
no,
going
the
to
way to
have so much
maximize
fun.
fun is to input step Z. And I'm like, no,
No.
this is ruining my life. So I think like those things have just like continued to be true into adulthood. And I would imagine, even though I don't have like stark memories of it as a kid, that there were, I'm sure, in a family of six, plenty of times where my plan did not go to plan. Because surprise, I was not like the leader of my family.
Right. Shocker.
Despite maybe feeling like that at certain points.
You tried really hard to be the leader. You
Did
were
try really
sometimes,
hard.
for sure. You definitely
That's
were.
good. Okay, Anne, how do you feel like Sara balances you out?
Well, I have a specific example,
Mm-hmm.
and this is when she was younger. She really hated being late and said so to me. I really hate being late. I wish we could be on time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we were not ever still on time, but I think we were better. And I did start putting things in my life to get ready the night before so I could be on time the next day. And I started rethinking things, how I planned
Mm-hmm.
my day. And that was because she needed to be on time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hard to be on time with our family.
I mean, there was one time where Ben straight up didn't put his shoes on, and we got to school and he did not have his shoes. Like everything else, backpack, socks, and we had a gravel driveway. So that boy left the house, walked on gravel, and got in the car and did not think, where are my shoes?
Yeah.
I'm just
It is-
picturing.
It
So
is
Ben,
great.
you anyone listening, you need a visual of Ben. So Ben was just little. He was this little lanky little boy. It was before he got braces. Like all the stuff. Like I'm just picturing this little Ben.
I mean, he was
walking
just a
and-
goober.
he was a goober with no socks on the gravel and like not even remembering to put his shoes on. Anyway, that's funny. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were times that I remember this time specifically, we had like 10-year-old Sara and 5-year-old, well, no, it was like 7-year-old Sara and 2.5-year-old, whatever, triplets. And we are all going to church in our minivan. And I look back and the kids, the triplets, the babies, we always call them the babies.
Mhm.
The babies had no shoes on. Nobody had shoes. Like I think one child had one shoe on. So I mean,
Sara was in the back, was like, I have shoes on.
yeah.
Please just drop me off at the front door.
Please drop me
I
off
will
at
go
church. I'll go in.
sit by myself.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, here's my last question. I like to answer these with kind of like a reflection question. In my individual interviews I do with people, I always ask, like, what would you tell yourself 10 years ago? So, Sara, I'm going to ask you your reflection question first, and then, Anne, I'm going to ask you yours.
Okay.
Sara, you might have already said sort of what your answer is. So, if I'm just asking you to repeat yourself, please feel free to say so. But outside of Enneagram number, outside of how she relates to you specifically as a child, when you think about your mother and how she raised you and who she is and what she values and all the things, what do you think is the best thing about her?
I think two big things. One is you have such an innate ability to be people's cheerleaders, and I think it is based on that enthusiasm, and people really need that, because there's so many things that are going on in all of your kids' individual lives and your friends' lives and everybody else, and just to have someone who is maybe using that voice that is talking to you and giving you so much encouragement to like take that and put it externally and gives other people so much encouragement. And then the second thing that I was thinking about was, especially as a parent, I think it's hard. I can't totally extract my perspective on my mom from her being a mom to all of us. But I think you really just show up for people when you know that they need you. You, I think, over the years, totally learned how to give independence, because I think that was actually always your MO. You raised us to be independent. We were fiercely independent because you wanted us to be. And I think over time, you kind of learned how to just let yourself be yourself, which meant that we could all be ourselves. And then within that, realizing, well, I've raised 4 independent children, and when they say that they need me, I know they mean it. And you show up every time.
Okay.
Got myself.
Yeah. I agree. I just, as a little plug, is like the niece. So I agree with all of that. I'm planning my bachelorette party because I'm getting married in October. And I was like, well, I have to invite Anne. I was like, Anne obviously has to come to the bachelorette party. Like, she's so fun, and she makes everyone have so much fun, and she listens to people, and she brings so much light and joy with her and all the things. And time for your question. This is going to be a 2-parter.
Okay.
We are going to time travel for this question.
Okay.
So I'm going to time travel us back to when you are in the hospital with Sara. You just gave birth to her. You're, like you said, you're holding her on your chest for the first time. 2-parter. What would you tell yourself in that moment? And if Sara was not a newborn baby, if she could somehow understand you, what would you tell her in that moment?
Okay. What I would tell myself, my 24-year-old self, is, sorry.
You're going to do it to yourself.
I'm going to do it to myself.
It's your turn.
Yeah. I would say this child is going to be strong and smart and have her own opinions really early. So don't parent out of fear and let her be her full self. That's what I would tell myself. And what I would tell her is, don't worry so much about doing it right. Just do it. And also, a black shirt and a black pant does not have to completely match. I would tell her that too. It could be a little different. Black tones are fine if they're a little different.
Okay, agree, but only if they're different fabrics. And also, you shouldn't be wearing a top and a bottom of the same fabric unless it came as a set. Like, that should just be a rule.
This is unlocking so many memories of like hearing about your family, like from my mother. Be like, Sara fought Anne again today on the black clothes.
It's important.
Okay, well, that was wonderful. Thank you, Miss Seven, for bringing us back with a joke at the end. That was good. Bring
Really
it back
saved
to
us all
life.
from that one.
Yeah.
That was very, very sweet. Thank you both for reflecting on that. Thank you both for being here. Thank you both for being honest and talking about all the family stuff on the whole big wide internet for everybody to hear. I love you both. Thank you for being here. Mwah.
Love
Thank you for having us.